Okay, so today is arithmetic sequences. I think today's lesson is easier than last time's lesson. Here's why. Because last time's lesson, there weren't a lot of like formulas. It was more like, oh, figure this out kind of thing without a lot of guidance. And today's just like super straightforward. Here's the sequence, here's the formula, plug everything in, and out pops your answer. So I think it's easier. Okay, so today we're going to deal with arithmetic sequences. Arithmetic begins with the letter A, and so does the word add. So that's going to be easy to remember. An arithmetic sequence is something where the number is added over and over again. Here are some examples of arithmetic sequences. 2 plus 1 is a 3. 3 plus 1 is a 4. 4 plus 1 is a 5. And then what are the next three numbers? That would be 6 and 7 and 8. And the difference is the value D. And it's just the thing that you're adding every single time. And this one is the difference, it's just 1. Okay, so this one right here, we're adding 5, adding 5, adding 5. So my difference is going to be 5. And then the next three terms would be 25, 30, and 35. Okay, look at the next one. I'm sure that you notice that the numbers are getting smaller, right? So for a minute, I want you to think about it as subtract. So what am I subtracting from 16 to get 13? That would be a 3. 13 minus 3 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. So it is still a difference, but it's just going to be the sign with it. So my difference is a negative 3. So sometimes it's a positive, sometimes it's a negative. So 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. Okay? All right. So this little section right here, this kind of sets us up to figure out the formula. Okay? So A is 1. And then the next term is A plus D, and A plus 2D, and A plus 3D. So this one right here would be A plus, everybody tell me, 4D. This would be A plus 5D, and A plus 6D, right? What do I keep doing? Well, I keep adding one more D. So the value of D is just D. So I had no D's, then 1, then 2, then 3. So it's just one more D every time. Okay, so the variable A and the variable A sub 1, they both mean the same thing. And they're used interchangeably. And that just stands for the first term. Okay? And then D, you guys already know what D is. We talked about that. It's called the common difference. And it just means the number that I keep adding every single time. Okay? Now, this right here is an important task, and we actually did it last time. So right here, guys, look, when you get the A, N is 1 because it's the first term. When you get A plus D, N is a 2. And this is N equals 3, and this is N equals 4, and this is N equals 5, and this is N equals 6, and this is N equals 7. Okay, so now if we're trying to come up with our formula to find a certain term, okay, every single one of those terms has an A plus something, right? The first guy doesn't have a plus, but everybody does. Everybody else does. So you have an A. And then it's going to be plus something times D. So we're going to say D times something. Well, guys, look. If N is 2, your number in front of the D is a 1. If it's a 3, it's a 2. If it's a 4, it's a 3. It's a 5, it's a 4. I could even come over here and say if it's a 1, then the number in front of the D is a, tell me.
0.
It's a 0. So what do I multiply my D by, guys? N minus 1. Yeah, that's exactly right. Make sure you write that down. I want you to add the words memorize. Okay. And I also want you to add the word looking for a specific term. So if they say to you, here's an arithmetic sequence, find the 10th term, then that's the formula that we're going to use. Okay? Okay, let's jump into question number, example 1. Here's a sequence. A sub n is 3n plus 5, and it's arithmetic. List the first 4 terms, find your A, find the D, and find the 40th term. Okay? So let's go A sub 1, A sub 2, A sub 3, a sub 4. Those are the first 4 terms. You guys, just like we talked about a minute ago, see this a sub 1? In a sub 1, your n is 1. So you're going to come right here into that equation, and where you see n, you're going to put in a 1. So it'd be 3 times 1 plus 5, and that's an 8. On this next one, n is a 2, because it's the second term. So it's 3 times 2 plus 5, that's 6 plus 5, which is an 11. The next one is going to be 3 times 3 plus 5, that's 9 plus 5, which is 14. The next one is 3 times 4 plus 5, that's 12 plus 5, which is 17. So the first 4 terms, let's write them like this, guys. 8, 11, 14, 17, and you do have to show that work that's written over on the left side. Okay? So it looks like that. Other things they want me to find, my value of A, my value of D, and the 40th term. Can anybody tell me what symbolism represents the 40th term? It is exactly right. A sub 40. Thank you, whoever said that. First term, a sub 1. Second term, a sub 2. Third term, a sub 3. 40th term, a sub 40. Okay? So here are the things that we're looking for that we need to find. Well, A, I've already found it. A is just a sub 1, and I know that that's an 8. So that's easy. D is the common difference. You guys look at those terms. What am I adding or subtracting every time? Well, 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 3 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. So my D is a 3. Okay, so now all I have to do is find the 40th term. Okay, I want you to do this. I want you to just kind of say, here's an option and here's an option. I'm actually going to find a sub 40 using 2 different methods. It's not going to confuse you. I'm going to use the method that I would prefer you to use first, and I'll explain why I would prefer you to do that. So everybody write down a sub n equals a plus d times n minus 1. That's the formula that we derived came up with over here, okay? So all you do is just go a sub 40 is the first term, which is an 8, plus the common difference, which is a 3, and then n is 40, so 40 minus 1 is 39, and then you just grab your calculator and you stick that in, and you get 125. Nice and simple, okay? The other way you could have done it is you could have used that formula right there. So everybody go a sub 40 is 3 times 40 plus 5, which also gives you 125. So you get the same answer either way. Why would I prefer to use the one on the left? Because it's going to be very uncommon that they would give you that formula. So I don't want you to rely on that formula because I don't think you're going to have it. But you can always have this formula memorized for a specific term. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and go with example 2. Let me know when we get to the one that's highlighted. Is there one highlighted that I said this is the one? Okay, let me know, okay, just so we pay close attention to it. Find the nth term of the arithmetic sequence with the first term of 7 and a common difference of 5. Then find the 51st term. Okay, so I want you to take your highlighter and I want you to highlight the it's not a word, but the notation, nth term. Here's the problem. Find the nth term. If they said find the 12th term, I could find it. Find the 27th term, I could find it. If they say find the nth term, I technically can't find it because I don't know what n is. I don't know what term number that they want me to find. Who says I understand? Okay, so if they ever say find the nth term, then what I want you to know is that you're going to have an n in your answer. Why are you going to have an n in your answer? Because they didn't tell me what n was. They didn't say 15th term or 10th term or whatever. Okay, so find the nth term of a sequence that has a first term of 7 and a common difference of 5. Okay, so everybody say a equals 7. That's my first term. and D equals 5. And then we're going to use that formula, A sub n equals A plus D times n minus 1. So I'm really going to call it A sub n because, again, I don't know what n is. So it's the first term, which is a 7, plus the common difference, which is a 5. I can't put a number in for n because they said nth term. So it's just going to stay an n like that. And now I'm just going to distribute. So I have A sub n equals 7 plus 5n minus 5. And that gives me A sub n equals 2 plus 5n. So that's my first answer. Okay? Then the question is, now find the 51st term. I want you to split it in half. I want to show you two ways. I do not think they're ever going to say to you, find the nth term. What we just did, I don't think you're ever going to see it. But they could say, find the 51st term. So I don't want to rely on this right here because I don't think they're going to ask you to find it. And you don't need to find it. Look what you need to do. You need to say, okay, here's my equation, and I'm finding the 51st term. So everybody go, A sub 51 is equal to the first term, which is a 7, plus the common difference, which is a 5. 51 minus 1 is a 50. When I put that in, I get 257. So my notation is A sub 51 is 257, and I'm done. So just use that formula you're given. You could use this guy. So on the other side, everybody write this down. Everybody write down A sub n equals 2, not A sub n, sorry, A sub 51, because I know what it is equal to 2 plus 5 times 51. And when I put that in my calculator, I still get 257. So for this problem, you can do it either way. My strong recommendation, just use that formula that we came up with, okay? Who says I'm with you? Raise your hand up high. Full raise. I want to see how we're doing. Okay, yay. Thank you. Okay, find the 98th term of the sequence. Make sure you let me know when we come across the one that it really is going to be. Find the 98th term. Okay, everybody freeze right here for 2 seconds. Today's arithmetic, the next lesson is geometric. So you can't, on the final, you cannot assume that that's arithmetic, nor can you assume that it's geometric. You have to figure it out. So arithmetic means the same numbers added every time. Geometric means what, everybody? Same things multiplied every time. Well, to me, this definitely looks arithmetic, right? Because 2 plus 4 is 6, and 6 plus 4 is a 10. So as soon as I figure that out, you guys, I would strongly recommend that you write the word arithmetic right there. So then you remember that it's arithmetic. You're going to have to remember 5 formulas, 2 from today's lesson and 3 from tomorrow's lesson or the next lesson. And I feel like if you write the word arithmetic, and then that will help you remember the formulas for arithmetic, which will then lead you to get these correct. Okay, they're asking us for a specific term, and then you ask yourself, what's the formula for a specific term for an arithmetic sequence? And then you say, oh yeah, that's A sub n equals A plus D times n minus 1. If I were you, I really recommend that you start by writing the generic formula down, then start plugging things in. Okay, so I have to know my A, I have to know my D, and I have to know my n. Those are the variables on the right-hand side. So A is the first term, which is a 2. The D is the common difference that I just found, and that's a 4. And n means the term number, and that is the 98th term. Okay? So you have A sub 98 is equal to the first term, which is a 2, plus the common difference, which is a 4. N is 98, so 98 minus 1 is 97. Put that in your calculator exactly the way you see it. And you get 390. And that's your answer. Okay, so very straightforward. Who says I'm good? Totally get it. Feeling great. Okay, great. This is a true story. I think it's a true story. When the mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss was 10 years old, he was in the class of a strict teacher. One day that he got in trouble, I like to add a little twist to it. He got in trouble because he was so smart, he could do the math like almost immediately. So the teacher got mad at him and told him, go to the corner, and I don't want you to come out until you add the numbers 1 to 100 together. And he almost got it immediately. What did he do? Okay. First of all, I want to ask you a question. If he was in your grade, if you were 10 years old and you were in his class, would you be his friend?
No.
I think not. Why not? Well, I'm sure he's nice, but tell me about him. What did he do? Later in his life, he made matrices. Yeah. So you would foresee that he would make matrices, and you would say, yeah, I'm not going to be his friend because he's going to make me do matrices. Okay, let's add these together. Okay. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus blah, 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 plus 96 plus 97 plus 98 plus 99 plus 100. He did it almost immediately with no calculator. How did he do it? I'm sure you've seen this before. Does anyone remember? Try. It's okay. Say it again. There is an equation. And you guys are going to come up with it. Go ahead, honey.
About how you add 1 and 99 and 2 and 98.
Okay, so it has something to do with adding something to the left to something to the right. You are correct. I think you paired them up incorrectly when you said that. I'm not sure. But you are correct. You're going in the right direction, honey. And I even see people like trying to figure it out, and that is beautiful. You're just as smart as gals because you're figuring it out for sure. Go ahead, honey.
Something about like dividing it by 2.
Okay, so it's coming back to you. You're exactly right. Good. You're exactly right. Okay, I'm going to help. Put that on your paper. When I add those together, what do I get? 101. Write that right there. Then pair up the 2 with the 99. Add those together, 101. 3 to 98, 101. 4 to 97, 101. 5 to 96, 101, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So I've got a whole bunch of 101s. Can anybody tell me how many 101s I have?
50.
I'm going to have 50 because I have 100 numbers and I'm pairing them up, right? So I'm going to have 50 101s. So when I do that, I think I get 5,050. Yes, I do. That's my answer. That's literally all you have to do, okay? Now, you guys are going to come up with the formula, okay? So it's S sub n. You know how I started adding things together? What was the first pair that I added together? The first one and the last one. So I'm going to put those right here. And what symbolism am I going to use to denote adding the first one and the last one? What's the first one? A or A sub 1. Yep. Oops. Hopefully I didn't disconnect. That's A or A sub 1 plus. Does anybody have any idea what symbolism I can use to denote the last term? Go ahead. Okay, you're exactly right. And if I don't know how many terms, if this is like n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, because I want to use it general, right? This would be n equals n. It's like if you're adding 50 terms, then your n is a 50. So that'd be the 50th term. If you're adding 200 terms, then that last guy would be n is 200. Who says I understand? Okay, so the symbolism would be A sub n. If you're adding the first 50 terms, that would be a sub 50. First 200 terms, that would be a sub 200, okay? And then, how did I come up with this 50? Tell me that. Okay, yay for you guys. You know what people do? They think it's this value divided by 2. It's not that value. It's the number of numbers divided by 2, which in this problem just so happened to be the same number, 100. So you take the number of numbers, which is n, and you divide it by 2, and there's your formula, okay? And I want you to know that that's what you're going to use when you're looking for a sum, and I also want you to add in the word memorize. That is something you're going to have to memorize, okay? Okay, here we go. Question 4. Find the sum of the first n terms of the sequence, okay? So we're going to go, do you notice, actually highlight this n terms. And up above it, draw an arrow to it. And since it says n terms, somebody tell me, what did we write above the other one?
N.
Yes, you're going to have an n in your answer. Because they didn't say to me, find the first 17 terms. Or find the first 100 terms or something like that. Okay? So this is a sub n. Pardon me, not a sub n. It's a sum. So it's S sub n is n divided by 2, a plus a sub n. So the sum of the first n terms. Guys, I have to put a number in for this and this and this. I'm just substituting in. But since they didn't tell me what n is, then my n has to stay an n. Okay? And then my first term is a. Somebody tell me what my first term is. How do we figure out our first term? Yeah, everybody go a sub 1 is 3 times 1 plus 5, and that gives me 8. Okay, and then I'm going to add that to a sub n. Somebody tell me what to replace a sub n with. Yes, what they gave me right there. You're exactly right. So that would be 3n plus 5. So your formula is S sub n equals n divided by 2. And then when I add those together, I'm going to get 3n plus 13. And we're actually just going to leave it right there. Because it'll be messy, so we're going to say that's good. Now, just so you guys understand, if someone said find the sum of the first 5 terms, then I have a formula, and I would put a 5 there and a 5 there, and I could get my answer, whatever value they give, okay? Okay, here we go with question 5. So find the sum of the first 30 terms. Okay, so we have to pretend like we don't know that this is arithmetic, because on the final, they're going to mix arithmetic and geometric, and you have to figure out which one it is. Okay, so look, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11. So now I have just figured out that this is arithmetic. So everybody write down the word arithmetic. And then, yes?
Figure out it was arithmetic, but it does find the sum. So
Yeah.
you know it's arithmetic.
No, I didn't. No, that's not why. Sum means, what am I going to get? What am I add them all together? The reason I know it's arithmetic is because I'm adding the same thing multiple times.
So it's
So,
the same find the sum, but it could be geometric.
correct. And we'll deal with that on the next lesson. Okay? Okay, so the sum of an arithmetic. Now you say, okay, that formula is S sub n is n divided by 2 multiplied by a times a plus n. So now I have my formula written down. Okay? So now I need to put in a value for n and a sub n. And again, for that a, you could call it a or a sub 1. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, okay, what's my n? What's my a sub 1? And what's my a sub n? So my n is 30 because I'm adding the first 30 terms. A sub 1, or a, just means my first term, which is a 5. A sub n is what?
But to solve
The 3 is the difference. So that's not a sub n. So I know that n is 30, right? So we could erase that a sub n. And let's not erase it. Let's just write it next to it. Let's say a sub n, which for this problem is a sub, tell me,
30.
a sub 30. And I have to know that to be able to find the sum. What in the world does a sub 30 stand for, everybody? The 30th term. Write that underneath that. 30th term. What am I going to do to find the 30th term, guys? Go back to the other formula, right? So everybody go a sub n equals a plus d times n minus 1. Is this the one that's highlighted for the final?
No.
Okay, it's the next one. Thank you. Okay, so I have to find the 30th term because in order to find the sum of the first 30, I have to know the actual value of the 30th. Okay, so I'm going to go a sub n. That would be a sub 30 is equal to the first term, which is a 5, plus the common difference. Somebody tell me what the common difference is.
3.
That's a 3. And then 30 minus 1 is 29. Okay, so grab your calculators and go 5 plus 3 parenthesis, 29, close it, hit enter, and you get a sub 30 is equal to 92. So now I know for my other formula that I'm going to put a 92 in for a sub n. So now I'm going to go the sum of the first 30 terms is the number of terms, which is 30, divided by 2. The first term is a 5, plus the last term, because I'm only adding 30, that is 92. Okay, you guys know 30 divided by 2 is 15, so I'm going to go 15 multiplied by 97, and that gives me 1,455, and that's my answer. Okay, who says I'm good? Raise your hand. Okay, here's the guy that was on the final last semester. Okay, watch this closely. Find the sum. First of all, I don't know if it's arithmetic or geometric. Okay, you guys, let me say something really fast. This is just like a sneak peek into next time's lesson. If it's geometric, which means you're multiplying by something every time, the only way to get from a positive to a negative using geometric would be to multiply by what? Somebody tell me. By a negative, which would then, I don't know why I put 3, which would then make the next number a positive. So if it's geometric and you're dealing with signs, the signs are going to alternate. And I don't have alternating signs. So I'm definitely thinking this is not going to be geometric. I'm thinking arithmetic. Who says I understand what you just said? Okay, that's just a sneak peek in the next lesson. What do I do to 2? What do I add or subtract to a 2 to get a negative 1? That would be a negative 3. Is a negative 1 and a negative 3 a negative 4? Yes. Okay, so everybody write down the word arithmetic. And I know they want the sum. So now I'm going to write down the generic formula for the sum of an arithmetic sequence, which is right there. Now, here's the problem. Look, guys, for the value of 2, I know that n equals 1. For the value of negative 1, I know n equals 2. For the value of n equals, the n is 3 when n equals negative 4. What's the problem? Somebody tell me. I don't know how many terms I have. I don't know if I have 20 or 50 or 27. I don't know how many terms I have. Listen carefully. Please, this is important. You cannot write out the entire sequence and add up the number of terms. They will give you nothing, okay? You have to figure it out with formulas. So the problem is I don't know what n is. Okay, so I'm just going to keep in the back of my mind, or actually, let's just write it over here. Let's go n equals, a sub n equals. So I'm going to go n is, I don't know, but I need to know. And then a is your first term, which is a 2. And your a sub n, can anybody tell me what a sub n is? We know what it is. It's the negative 73, yes. Okay, do me a favor and write this down up above there. Write down a sub n means the nth term which often means the last term. Because if we're adding 30 terms together, then you have a list of 30 terms, so it would be the last term, okay? So it's the last term. Now, I can't find the sum unless I know what n is. Someone tell me what to do. Use the other formula, right? Okay, so the other formula is a sub n equals a plus d times n minus 1. I do know what a sub n is. It's negative 73. That's equal to the first term, which is a 2, plus the common difference. Someone tell me the common difference. Negative 3. And I don't know what n is. That was the whole point of this second part, times n minus 1. Can I now solve that for n? Sure. So distribute the negative 3 and you get 2 minus 3n plus 3 equals negative 73. Combine those and you get negative 3n plus 5 equals negative 73. Move your 5 over. You get negative 3n equals negative 78. Divide, and you get 26. So now I know there are 26 terms in that sequence. So now I'm going to come over here, and now I know my value of n is 26, and now I can find the sum. So the sum of the first 26 terms is the number of terms, which is 26, divided by 2. The first term is 2, plus the last term is a negative 73. And you just put that in your calculator. And when you do, you get negative 923. How could a sum be a negative? How is that possible? You're adding negative numbers, and you're going to have a negative number. Yep. This is the one that was on the final. Okay. Who says I understood? Raise your hand really high. Let me see how you're feeling. Okay, good. All right. 7. I want to see what we've got left. Tell me how many we have left. 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh boy. Okay, we can do it. Okay. 7 is a little interesting too. I think you'll be fine. I think it's kind of fun. The corner section of a stadium has 30 rows of chairs. So guys, you're at a football game, and there's the sides that go like this, right? Then there's the end zone, and then where the end zone meets the other one, it kind of curves over. Who says I know exactly what you're talking about? Okay, so the seats look like this, right? They're narrow at the bottom and as you go across. So it has 30 rows of chairs. So everybody go a sub 1, a sub 2, a sub 3, blah, 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 a sub 30. Okay? The first row has 10 seats. So a sub 1 is 10. The next number is going to get bigger, right? Because you're getting more chairs in each row. Each successive row has 4 more seats. So this has 14, and this has 18, and this has, I don't know. They're not going to let you write down 30 rows and figure it out. You have to use formulas, okay? How many seats are in the top row? How many seats are all together in the section? You guys read the first question. Actually, we know this is arithmetic because we're adding the same thing, right? Everybody right now in the room, write down a sub n equals, and I want you to write it down by yourself without peeking anywhere. And I also want you to write down the s sub n. See if you have those memorized yet. Try not to look and get help. Okay, so a sub n is a plus d times n minus 1. S sub n is n over 2 times a plus a sub n. Who says, I already know them? Okay, yay. And keep doing that on your homework. Don't look, just make yourself remember. By the time your homework's done, you'll be good. How many seats are in the top row? Guys, look. Do they want a sub n, which is equation 1, or do they want s sub n, which is equation 2? You guys tell me. A sub n. It's a specific row number, right? So everybody go A sub 30 is equal to the first term, which is a 10, so first row, plus the common difference. Somebody tell me what the difference is. 4 times 30 minus 1, which is 29. Okay, so everybody go 10 plus 4 times 29, and when you do, you get 126. Now, you guys know I haven't met with Weber, but this is what they said at the midterm. They're going to be very picky with you on labels. So you have to label everything. 126 what, everybody? Seats is correct. So be careful. Okay? Okay, read the next question. How many seats are there altogether in the whole section? Is that equation 1 or 2? Equation 2, because you're adding 1 and 2 and 3 all the way up. Okay? So everybody go S sub 30 is equal to, everybody in the room just shout out, what is the value of n?
30.
It's 30, right? Because you're adding 30 rows of chairs, right? Divided by 2. A is the first row, which is 10, plus, tell me what A sub n is, everybody. It's the 30th row, which is what I just found, 126. Okay? So that's going to be 15 times 136, and you get 2,040 seats altogether, and you're done. Okay? Okay, example 8. Company A pays $24,000 a year with a raise of $1,600 a year. Company B pays $28,000 with a raise of $1,000 a year. Which company will pay more in year 10 and which will pay more over the 10 years? Okay, so everybody go like this, split it in half. And this is company A and this is company B. So, which company pays more in year 10? Everybody in the room tell me, is that A sub n or is that S sub n? A sub n. So everybody go A sub n equals A plus D times n minus 1. So for the first company, it's A sub 10, because we're wanting to know the 10th year is the first year. You guys, company A starts with $24,000. That's your beginning. Plus, and you get raises of $1,600 a year. So that's your D. That's the difference. So this is 1,600 times n minus 1. That's 10 minus 1, which is a 9. So put that in your calculator. And you get $38,400. Let's do the other guy. A sub 10. Initially, the first number is 28,000. Plus, what are you adding every time? 1,000 times 10 minus 1, which is 9. So that's going to be $37,000. So compare which one pays more in year 10. That would be company A. So let's come down to the bottom and let's say company A pays more in year 10. That's the first answer. Second question. Which company pays more over 10 years? Which equation is that, guys? A sub n or S sub n? S sub n. So everybody go, S sub n is equal to n divided by 2, A plus A sub n. So this guy is S sub 10 is equal to n, which is 10, divided by 2. The first year on company A is 24,000, and you add it to A sub n. Everybody tell me what A sub n is right there. It's your 10th year, right? Which is 38,400. Okay, then figure out what that is. And you get $312,000 from that company after 10 years. Let's do the other guy. Sum of the first 10 is 10, which is the number of years, divided by 2. First year is 28,000. The 10th year is 37,000. You get $325,000. Which one's higher? Company B. So we're going to say company B pays more over 10 years. Done. I want to ask you a question. Look right here. How can this be right? To find a specific year, you write down what you started with, you take the raise, and you times it by 9. If I worked there for 10 years, why is that 9 and not 10?
Because you don't get a raise your first year.
You don't get a raise the first year. You have to work there for a year, and then on your 1-year anniversary, that's when you get the raise. And so in 10 years, you're going to get 9 raises and not 10. Who says I understand that? Raise your hand. Okay, yay. Okay, example 9 is tough. Example 10 is just like example 9. So 9 and 10 are tough, and they were on the final recently. Not the most recent, but recently. So you're going to want to make sure you know how to do this. So I don't think I'd highlight it, but I think I would put some stars around it. If this showed up on the final, I would not be super surprised. And it's a little tough, okay? So look, an arithmetic sequence has a common difference of 4, and a sub 4 is 13. Find the 12th term. Okay, so the common difference is 4. So everybody put D equals 4. And then I want you to write a sub 4 is equal to 13. This is what's hard. This is what's difficult right here. People don't know how to interpret that. What does that mean? Somebody tell me. The fourth. Yep, exactly. Write down the 4th term is 13. Okay. Find the 12th term. So I know I'm looking for a specific term. So everybody go a sub n equals a plus d times n minus 1. Okay. Now, do I know what the first term is? I don't. Do I know the common difference? I know what that is. So let's just go ahead and do it. If it's 13, then that's the term number. So that's going to be a 13. I don't know what the first term is, so I'm going to put an A. I don't know, I do know what the common difference is, so that's going to be a 4. And n minus 1, well, it's the 4th term, so that would be 4 minus 1, which is 3. So it looks like that. Because it's the 4th term, so I know n is 4. N is 4, so 4 minus 1 is 3. So now I have a plus 12 equals 13, so now I know a is 1. Okay, they want the 12th term. So now I have to actually answer the question. So the question is, a sub 12 is equal to the first term, which is a 1. So that helped me to find my first term, plus the common difference, which is a 4, times 12 minus 1, which is 11. Add them together, 45. Okay, use the appropriate formula to find the sum. Now I'm going to come over here, guys, and I'm going to go S sub n is equal to n divided by 2, a plus a sub n. So I know I'm finding the sum of the first 12 terms. Therefore, my n is a 12. So it's 12 over 2. And then I have a, which I know is 1, plus the 12th term. Well, the 12th term is 45. So that's just going to be 6 times 46. And I get 276. That's it. Okay, 10 is actually different. 10 is not the same. I think 10 is tougher. Okay, everybody write down C sub 4 equals 12. And I actually hate that it says C. You guys, if it doesn't say S, then it's not a sum. It's a specific term. You know what? I'm going to make those A's. Just turn them into A's. Because all you've seen is an A. So if they start throwing C's in, it might be confusing. Okay, so A sub 4 is 12. Underneath that, write down what that means. Somebody tell me that.
The fourth term is 12.
Yep, write that down. The fourth term is 12. Let's write down the other one. A sub 8 equals 20. Let's write down the fourth term, the 8th term is 20. Okay, find your difference. Well, I know I'm dealing with a specific term, right? So everybody write A sub n equals A plus D times n minus 1. I'm going to apply this information right here, and I'm going to put it in there. So A sub n is the term value, okay? That would be 12. Is equal to the first term, I don't know what that is, plus the common difference, I don't know what that is, but I do know that the value of n on that first scenario is what, everybody?
3, 4.
N is 4, so 4 minus 1 is a 3. So I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to put 3D. I know that n, my term number is 4, so 4 minus 1 is a 3. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so I'm going to write down the term, which is 20, is equal to the first one, which I don't know, plus the common difference, and then n is 8, so 8 minus 1 is a 7. The goal is to find D. Somebody tell me what we're going to do now. Yep, we have this and we have this, so we're going to use either substitution or elimination. Yep, if I distribute a negative right here, then I'll have negative 12 equals negative A minus 3D. The A's go away. 20 minus 12 is 8, is equal to 4D. Divide by 4 and you get D equals 2. So that's my answer. D equals 2. Yes.
Do we have to show all the work on that?
Yes. Everything I've shown, you need to show. Yes.
Look at it and see it.
What I showed is great, sufficient. Whenever I teach you, I always show you what is necessary and sufficient. Yes, honey?
So we're not going to get points if we just write out the sequence and figure out.
They will give you nothing. 0. Yeah. Okay. Part B. Use the appropriate formulas to find C of 20. Change that to A of 20. So they want to know the 20th term. So I'm using this formula right here. Okay. So I'm going to go A sub 20 is equal to, there's still something I don't know. I know my common difference is a 2. I know my n is a 20. 20 minus 1 is 19. I don't know the first term. How am I going to find the first term? Let me say something really fast. Look right here. I'm just going to make up a system. You don't have to write any of this down. If I was working on this and I figured out that x is 1, x is not 1, I'm just making this whole thing up. If I found that x is 1, what would my next step then be, everybody? To plug it in and find y. Who says I understand that? Okay, so come back over here. Look at part A. So in this pink equation, I have A's and D's, and in this pink equation, I have A's and D's, and I found my D. I didn't go on and find my A because they didn't ask me. That was all I needed was the D, but I need to find the A so I can do part B down here. Who says I'm with you? Let me see. Okay, so plug in a 2 for D, and I'm going to put it over here. So I'll go 12 equals A plus 3 times 2 is 6. The 6 comes over, A equals 6, so it's going to be like that. And now just stick it in your calculator, and you get 44, I believe. That's it. Okay, example 11. Example 11 is just like example 10. So it's another tough one to help you reinforce what we just did. And let's not change the B's. Let's just keep them B's. Just imagine they're A's. Okay, so everybody write down B sub 3 equals negative 4. And we're going to say if n equals 3, then I'm trying to write it a different way to try to help, but I think it might just be confusing you. You know what? I hate the B's. To make them A's, would you? I just think it's like, it's just going to make it so tough for you. And maybe not, but I'm trying to write it a different way. And so anyway, everybody write A sub 3 equals negative 4. And then I want you to write if n equals 3, comma, A sub n equals negative 4. That's the same way as saying the third term is a negative 4. Let's do the next one. A sub n equals negative 16. I'm going to say if n equals 7, then A sub n is negative 16. That just means the seventh term is negative 16. Find D. Okay, well, these are specific formula, specific terms. So A sub n equals A plus D times n minus 1. Let's do this scenario right here on the left. So A sub n is a negative 4 if n is 3. So we have A plus n is 3. 3 minus 1 is a 2. So that's a 2D. Same thing over here. So A sub n, that would be negative 16, is equal to A, which I don't know, plus D, which I don't know. 7 minus 1 is 6. So here's my one equation, and here's one equation, and now I'm going to use elimination. So I'm going to distribute a negative, and I get 4 equals negative A minus 2D. Those cancel out. Negative 12 equals 4D. Divide, D equals negative 3. I'm done with that part A. But should I move on to part B? Tell me, guys. What do I need to do? Thank you. Solve for A. So I'm going to go here. So I'm going to go negative 4 equals A. D is a negative 3, so that would be minus 6. Pull your 6 over. A equals 2. That wasn't part of the question, but I need it for part B. Okay? Find A sub 26. So everybody go A sub 26, and you're using this formula right here in green. So it's the first term, which is a 2, plus the common difference. Don't put a plus, I'm just going to go minus 3. 26 minus 1 is 25, and that's going to give me a negative 73. Done. Okay, who says I'm good? Let me see. Okay, so I don't know if you felt like this was easy or tough, but the next lesson